Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's market wrap for what day is today? Wednesday, June the 25th. The market is digesting yesterday's strong gains, and I think one of the key themes that I'm seeing on both the indexes as well as in many stocks, particularly the most recent breakouts, is to zoom out just a little bit and make sure that we consider the weekly timeframes. There were a lot of stocks that had that initial pop and drop and are now squatting now. Indexes are sort of doing a similar thing, but when we do zoom out and take a look at those weekly charts, we will see that many of those same names are near their weekly highs, and that, well, depending on what our perspective is. And sometimes, if we pretend that we don't own any of these names, just take a look at the chart, it can help add a lot of clarity. So let's take a look at some charts. Here are the major indexes. We have the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Russell 2000, New York Stock Exchange, and Dow. And you can see that all of them either pulled back or closed near the low of their daily ranges. The NASDAQ is the only one that closed up on the day, but it closed near the bottom of its trading range. Everything else not only closed down on the day, but also closed low in its trading ranges. Now, one thing to notice on each one of these daily charts is that all of them remained above their key moving averages, the 5, the 10, the 21-day exponential moving averages. They're all still above those moving averages. Those moving averages are still curled up. And today's pullback, maybe not so bad after all. Let's zoom out to a weekly chart and it becomes a little bit more pronounced. Here we have weekly charts of the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Russell 2000, New York Stock Exchange, and Dow once again. And where are each of prices right now in these weekly ranges? They're all right near the high of those weekly ranges. In fact, it's pretty difficult to tell just based on these weekly charts that there was any sort of pullback at all today. That, my friends, is strong action, strong digestion, and right pretty much what you want to see after a very strong move up. When price digests in this way, it helps to give other eager buyers a chance to get in. And so tomorrow and the coming days will help to shed a little bit more light on which direction we're going to go. But so far, things are still looking promising. The monthly charts still all near their highs, still all an eyelash from all-time highs as well. So longer term things look very good. Now, as far as stocks making new 52-week highs and new 52-week lows go, this indicator is getting a little bit funky these last couple of days. So what do I mean by that? I mean, on Monday, it took a long time to get the new highs and new lows. And on Tuesday, it showed the same number of new highs and new lows. The Tuesday numbers are updated. We had, let's see here, 88 new highs versus 16 new lows on the NASDAQ. That is very strong. But then today, you see that it's showing the same numbers as it did for Monday. Not saying that it's impossible for that to happen, but it's kind of unlikely. So we'll see if the numbers change. Right now it's reflecting 62 new highs, 51 new lows. Possible, somewhat unlikely. We'll see what happens tomorrow. The NYSE is doing the exact same thing, which has me thinking that it's an indicator issue and not actual numbers. So on Monday, we had 45 new highs and 25 new lows. Then yesterday, Tuesday, we had 66 new highs and 4 new lows. Strong action. And then today, back to 45 and 25. So highly likely some sort of a data issue. Alrighty. So, given what I'm seeing here, um, without new highs and new lows, overall, this is still very strong action. Still green in my uh, in my opinion, overall, as far as the general market goes. But let's take a look now at the stocks underneath the hood, and that'll help to shed even more light on what's happening here. So we'll start off with stocks that are setting up for tomorrow that have made their way to the action list. There's a few of them that I'll be placing alerts on. And I've been doing a lot of alerts lately. The reason why I'm doing alerts is so that way I can ascertain if I want to get aggressive and buy these names or not. And that's largely due to the how the stock breaks out, general market sentiment, um, and how names in its particular group are moving too, because all those things get influenced as price moves. The reason why I haven't done working orders is because on many of these names, they either the support level or the breakout levels are questionable. This is more of an aggressive kind of environment where it really is about how price is moving in the middle of the day. That's going to be more of the tell of, do we have a winner or a dud on our hands? And we'll take a look at some of the names that have been previously on the action list, and that'll really make the point. In fact, well, why don't we do that now? I'll flip back over to Deep View, and I just made this list here, Action Archive. This is a pretty cool list, and we'll start down here, well, with some of the names that were on the action list last week. So you could see, first one up, Duolingo crashed and burned, never triggered any sort of a breakout, but this one, since last week, is down more than 16%. Then FTAI. This one rebounded, stalled out a little bit, then rebounded, and then it sold off today. Now it's down about 3% overall. Then DoorDash. This one has been a winner. This one is up 5.5% since being on the list. QFIN, also a winner after stalling for a little bit and then moving up. So last week's action list, a little bit of a mixed bag. Here's some of the names from this week. IONQ. This one was looking good, and then it rolled over, and now it's below all of its key moving averages. This one, I wouldn't touch. It's not. Now it's broken the expectations that I look for, and I think that it needs to reset. Similar with HRTG. It's under the 50-day moving average now. This one was one that triggered the alert yesterday. I held off, and it did not hold up. Here's two names that looked fantastic and are actually doing quite nicely. Lyft and Uber. So Lyft broke out yesterday, big strong gap up. Did not buy this one. It gapped above the entry, didn't find a way to enter in. Same deal with Uber yesterday, just gapping straight out of the base. And we'll see if those set up. Actually, Lyft, truth be told, is on the action list again for tomorrow, because how it's behaving right now is actually warrants a closer look at the very least. So we'll talk about that when we get into tomorrow's action list. But just to go through a few more of these names, IBIT, decent follow through, up 4.5%. Stiber, this one is up from where we bought it yesterday, or where I should say where I bought it yesterday. It triggered the alert and it started to follow through. Looking at the action on the daily, it had two daily closes right near its lows. And this is where zooming out and taking a look at weekly charts can really pay off, right? Because that oh, I'm in this name. It's selling off. It had 2 week closes. That's terrible. Well, what does a weekly look like? The weekly so far is fine. It's still high in its weekly closing range. Not too much to worry about there. Here's TOST. This one triggered an alert, or it would have triggered an alert yesterday. I had it on the list again today. It did not trigger, it just collapsed. And then RBRK triggered an alert. It gapped up, waited a little bit, bought the pullback, and now this one is sitting just underneath the pivot. Similar deal with KD, gapped up, bought the pullback, and now this one is sitting right at the pivot. Both of these names, KD, right? So here's KD. Look at the daily chart. Here's RBRK. Look at the daily chart, fairly negative. Now look at the weekly charts of these names. Since we're on RBRK, we'll stay there. Look at that weekly chart. It's still closing high in its weekly range. So far, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. KD, same thing, still very high in its weekly range. So when the market has a strong move, many names breaking out, I'd say about half of the names, maybe a little bit more than half of the names are still doing very well. So patience is what I'm exercising right now. Well, with the names that I bought, if they haven't broken any kind of a sell rule or triggered any kind of a sell rule or a danger signal rule, then I'm going to continue to sit with these names. Now, let's take a look at some of the names that are on the current action list. We'll start with Lyft. So, what did Lyft do? Let's enlarge the daily chart. So it gapped up yesterday, then pulled back today. And well, what this is doing is creating an additional pivot, the pivot above today's high at $15.80. That's where I'm going to set the alert. If that triggers, I'm potentially looking at a stop right under today's low, today and yesterday's low. I'd use $15.40 for that. And that gives us an even tighter trade of where we're risking only about 4.5%. If you recall, the original idea needed to risk about 6.5%. So waiting sometimes can give us a tighter entry. TKO, this one broke out of a VCP last week. It's tightening up again just below the prior all-time high. And this is setting up another pivot. So I am going to place an alert right here, right at the all-time high. 179.10 is where I'm setting the alert. I want to see how price breaks out. And if it does break out cleanly, I would be eyeing a stop right at around 170.90. That gives us approximately 5% risk on this idea. Then the last one is SEC Limited. This one pulled back to the 50-day moving average, had a strong rally yesterday, pulled back on light volume, and on this one, I'm placing an alert right at the recent highs, right at $160.60. If this is able to break out cleanly, I'd look to get a stop right below the lows of the last couple of days, right at around 154.90. That'll give me approximately 3.5% risk on this idea. So high momentum names, tight risk, and because that's the kind of environment that we're in. We're in an environment where the momentum is building, and these names should either work or not. So I'm not giving them a ton of room, but I am giving them enough room where structurally it makes sense, particularly using the 30-minute timeframes as well. And we'll take a closer look at the 30-minute timeframes on the names that I'm in. So here are my open trades. Spotify pulled back a little bit today. Um, it's still behaving well. It's still near the top of its weekly trading range, and I'm still keeping my stop at 669.90. Now, talking about 30-minute and managing or using multi-time frame analysis to manage trades. So today, price pulled back again after breaking out. It had an inside day today. Price closed near the bottom of its range, but this time it closed back above the 398.10 pivot. On the daily, it looks so-so. On the weekly, not a problem in the world. It's still right near the top of its weekly trading range. So what am I doing with this one? I'm taking a closer look to see if price were to fall, where should I start to unload some of this? Where does the odds start to turn against me? I'm eyeing this level down here on the 30-minute time frame. You could see 386.90 where I have that dotted red line. Price built a little bit of a shelf around that level. And not only that, the 21-day exponential moving average has crossed above that level. So it gives me two layers. I am raising half my stop level and keeping the other half of the stop down at 376.90. This takes off about a quarter of the risk overall. And once price starts to get moving, then I would look to raise the stop. Taking off a quarter of the risk right now, I think that's the wise move to do. And it also gives me a little bit of wiggle room in case if price does have an intraday spike lower to test the 21-day and then rebounds off of that level. I like flexibility. RBRK, here's one triggered today. Strong move at the open, pulls back. Now it's sitting right at the pivot, but it's also one where if we take a look at this intraday chart, this pullback looks very constructive, very orderly, and above all the key moving averages. I'm still keeping my stop on this one at $87.90, just below the price shelf that it made and above the key moving average coil that it made. That's the 5, the 10, and the 21-day exponential moving averages. On to KD. This is another one. Gap up at the open, and then it spends the most of the day pulling back to the pivot and then rebounds right back above the pivot. This is why it's so important not to chase, as tempting as it can be. I know how tempting it can be to chase names as they look like they've got a lot of momentum. There's a lot of excitement, especially right at the open, and that fear of missing a trade that we've been stalking can start to creep in. We've got to do our best to put those fears to rest, because so often what happens is this right here. So we either get in on the trade or we don't. We don't chase. And if we don't chase, many times price pulls right back in, gives another opportunity. And so I'm at a full position on this right now. And my stop on KD for now is staying down here at $39.40. All right, so given all that we've seen, what is the move that we should be making now? Part of what I think that the move is continuing to exercise patience, particularly with recent buys, especially if they're behaving well. What does well mean? Take a look at not just the daily chart, take a look at the higher time frames, take a look at the weekly charts. Many of those weekly charts are at the weekly highs. Now, if you're experiencing a name that is weak on the daily, sells off on heavy volume, is weak on the weekly chart, maybe you're saddled with 7, 8, 9 danger signals, then yeah, that would be a name that I would be cutting too. Many of the names that I'm seeing right now that broke out recently, they are still behaving well. So patience is not just waiting for the correct opportunity to buy. It's also being patient with making moves within the portfolio and how we're managing things. Having a trading business plan that outlines all of what to do, when, and how, and why makes that whole process a lot easier. And it's something that I advocate making for yourself. So if you don't have a written business plan for yourself, uh, make that a priority in the coming days and weeks. You don't have to do it all at once, but I do encourage you to get those thoughts out of your head, work them out on paper, and it adds loads of clarity. If you need help with any of that, just reach out and let me know, and I'll be glad to help. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care, much love, and as always, God bless.